Hi, hello, there we are. Welcome back. I'm going to introduce our next guest speaker, who is Emma Reed. Emma Reed is a freelance creative and multidisciplinary designer based in Norwich. She is a head of marketing and design for the Wild Pass Festival, and its sister, Wildfields, is where Emma leads on creative decision, visual identity, and promotional strategy across both festivals. Everybody, welcome Emma.
Thank you. Perfect. So I really just wanted to start by saying something I think is important to hear. I don't have it all figured out, and that's okay. I've been in the industry for nearly 4 years now, which means I'm not really here to talk to you about like a long, successful career, but I want to talk about what it actually feels like at the start. The biggest thing I've learned so far is no one's coming to hand you the opportunities, you have to make them. When I first started in the industry, I was 19, in my second year of uni, studying design for publishing, and honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I felt completely lost. Everyone around me seemed to have a plan. People were talking about agencies they wanted to work at, specific roles they wanted, 5-year plans. And I was just there like, I like design, I like music, and that's all I really had. The career paths presented to us at uni didn't really excite me. And I've always known that I'm not passionate about something. My brain just refuses to cooperate, like it literally shuts down. I can't force it to do something. So I knew I wanted to do something creative, and I knew I loved music and festivals, but I had no idea how to get there. I remember one day really clearly. I was at home skipping uni because I had a migraine, which, let's be honest, I definitely could have still gone to. And I had this horrible feeling that I just wasn't doing enough, like everyone else was moving forward, and I was just existing. So I did the only thing I could think of. I opened my laptop and started emailing people. This was my first portfolio, which, looking back on it now, there's a lot of a change. I just emailed studios, festivals, venues. I was literally asking for anything, internships, work experience, even just a conversation. And I felt so awkward doing it. I was like, why would anyone reply to me? I was literally just creating fan posters with a very questionable portfolio and blind confidence. But I sent emails anyway, and most people didn't reply, which is fine. Some said no, which is also fine. But one person said yes. The festival director of Wild Pass replied and agreed to meet me for coffee. And I remember being so nervous. I was convinced he was going to meet me, and immediately realised I had no idea what I was doing. But we met, we had coffee, we talked about design, music, festivals, and creative direction, and he gave me an opportunity. And that one yes genuinely changed everything, and it became my first freelance work. And from there, like, everything started to snowball, really. It led to more projects, more opportunities, and a lot more responsibility. And eventually led to me becoming head of design and marketing for the festival, which is honestly so surreal to me, because it all started from one slightly unhinged email, which I sent while avoiding uni work. But the experience taught me something I still remind myself now. The worst someone can say is no, and most of the time they don't. And even when they do say no, nothing bad really actually happens. Your life continues, and you just open another tab and email someone else. I didn't wait until I felt ready, because the truth was, you never really feel ready. You just have to start and figure it out as you go. So after that initial coffee, the first thing I didn't do was actually anything crazy. I literally just started doing gig posters for the venue part-time while still at uni. Looking back at it now, though, it's really the start of everything for me, because it was the first time my work existed in the real world. It wasn't like a hypothetical uni project. It was actually out there promoting real events to real people. And when it's for real people, you learn very quickly what works and what doesn't. You learn how to grab attention, how to communicate quickly, how to design for a specific audience instead of just designing for yourself. And you also learn not to be too precious about your work, because sometimes you'll spend hours on something and then it will need to be changed 5 minutes later, and that's just a part of it, which is very frustrating when you first start out, but you kind of have to get over it. These are the first posters I designed for Voodoo's. I actually did them for free, just because I wanted to have the opportunity. And yeah, looking back on them now, I would do almost everything differently. There's some very questionable design decisions in there, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure about my thought process at times, but I think it's important to reflect on that, because at the time I was genuinely proud of them, and I think more importantly I was learning. It was the first time I'd been trusted to create something for a real venue, and I was incredibly lucky to have the freedom to experiment, make just mistakes, and figure things out in a real-world environment, especially whilst at uni, which a lot of people don't get the opportunity. That's where most of my growth came from. Not getting everything right, but doing it, reflecting on it, and improving each time. Since then, I've actually designed over 70 posters for the venue. These are some of my favourites, but there's really too many to choose from. Probably 2, 3, maybe 10 years time, I'll probably look back on these and wonder what I was doing again. But development is part of life, so yeah, they're pretty cool for now. Soon after that, I started working on Wildfield Festival. This is some of the work I got to create. We did posters, beer cans. I was across all of the design and marketing for that. This was my first proper big project. I was a design lead and also part of the marketing team, which at the time felt slightly insane because I was still at uni and I was still figuring things out, and suddenly I was working on a full festival as well. To be honest, juggling both was really hard, but I wouldn't have done it any differently. And again, looking back on it now, some of the artwork I would really change. When I came onto the festival, it had been running since 2019, so the colour scheme was already set up. But they wanted to give it a new lease of life. But there was a lot more parameters to design in compared to the work I did for the venue. But I was completely thrown in at the deep end. But it's where I've learned the most. Before that, I hadn't really even considered doing marketing as a job. It just sort of got offered to me and I always said yes. I learned about how the design actually connects to the ticket sales, which is something uni doesn't really teach you. I learned about the budgets and timelines and how many moving parts there are behind the scenes. And yeah, I learned to work with press, performers, photographers, and be part of a bigger team, which before that I really hadn't had the opportunity to do. I do love the design part, but more than that, I really enjoyed solving the problems, communicating ideas, working with a wider team, and being part of something bigger than myself. And it's when I realised that I didn't want to just do design, I wanted to be across all of it, all across all the creative aspects, as well as the marketing. I think it was fun to help put on an event which made people feel something. It was a year of hard work, but it's really satisfying at the festival when you realise that your work's paid off, people are enjoying it. It was very stressful at times, but yeah, when you can see their faces and engaging with something that you actually helped create at 19, that was crazy for me. Yeah, and I got that experience just because one person said yes when everyone else said no. Yeah, so when I graduated in 2024, everything started to snowball a bit. I became the design and marketing lead and also the ticketing and events rep for Voodoo Daddies, as well as all the festival work. And yeah, I became the head of design, marketing, communications for Wild Paths, the second festival, working on the entire campaign rollout. And again, I was working more across the production side then. Not really by choice, more just small independent festivals. There's only 2 or 3 of us on the team, so you've kind of got to cut corners. And yeah, again, for Wild Paths, we got to do all the posters, artwork, we designed merch, beer cans. And I think if you told me at the start of uni that I got to do any of that, I really would have thought you were crazy. And especially if you told me I've been working in marketing, I would have been absolutely not. I just want to make posters. But that's the thing, I think your career evolves as you evolve, and Wildfields went on to win Best New Festival, and Wild Paths is now a finalist for this year's version. And I think what's crazy is all of that came from just one email I sent when I was 19 and terrified to reach out to anyone. And beyond the festivals and the venues, that one opportunity led to so many other things. I designed coffee packaging for Download Festival, which was a couple of years ago. They reached out to me actually a couple of days before Christmas, and they wanted it by New Year's Eve, which for any other company I would have turned around and said like, absolutely not, that's a crazy timeline. But obviously it was Download Festival, I was young and was like, I'm going to spend all my Christmas working on that packaging. They gave me completely free rein, just the theme was Dog Atlantis, like under the sea themes, but yeah, that one was a pretty cool design, pretty random, really, to be selling coffee at the festival, but cool. I've also created a magazine for the National Centre of Writing, which was completely different to anything I've done before. They reached out to me because one of the team had also like worked at the venue with us, and they thought my work could translate well into it. I've designed album covers for local bands, I've been a creative director for photo shoots and made single artwork. I've also learned video editing and recently got the opportunity to edit a couple of music videos, which aren't out yet, unfortunately. I've even been a venue manager at a New Year's Eve event, which was chaotic and incredibly stressful, but we managed it. But I think the important thing is none of that happened because I had some perfect plan. It all just came from saying yes. I said yes to a lot of things before I felt ready, and then I just figured it out along the way. I'm still figuring it out now, to be honest. But through all of those projects, the good ones and the stressful ones, and the ones I'm really proud of, and the ones which were also learning experiences, there are a few things which have stuck with me. Things I wish someone had told me when I was sitting where you guys are now. Things have like made everything feel a bit like less confusing, a bit more possible. So I wanted to share a few of those things with you. I think lesson one is really to make opportunities for yourself. The biggest turning point in my career came from sending that one first email. No one asked me to send it, no one told me to. I just did it because I felt stuck and had nothing better to do, to be honest. And I think there's this myth that opportunities arrive when you're like ready. But in my experience, they arrive when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You have to apply for things that you don't feel qualified for. You have to message people who you don't think will reply. And you have to share your work before you can feel confident in it. Because the worst thing that someone can say is no. And honestly, most of the time they don't. Or they ignore you, which is also fine. It's not like fatal, it's not going to kill you. But every opportunity I've had, festivals, the freelance work, everything came from me putting myself out there first, and no one's come and handed me any work. Designing for Wildpass, for Download, even being asked to speak here today, none of that would have happened if I hadn't sent that first email. Lesson two is there's like no one-size-fits-all creative career. I think at uni it can feel like there's one correct path, like you graduate, get a design job or a creative job, and that's it. But there's so many different ways to be a creative. You can work in an agency, you can work in-house, you can freelance like I did, or you can do a mix of everything. I thought when I was 19 I was just going to be a graphic designer, but I had really no concept of what that actually meant. I didn't expect to be working in marketing, managing photographers, editing videos, and help run the actual events. Each project showed me the new sides of the industry I didn't even know existed. And your career will evolve based on what you enjoy and what you're curious about and what you say yes to. But I think, again, it's important that you don't have to have it all figured out now. Like, it can constantly evolve and change. In 5 years' time, I might be working in-house at an agency, or I might still be freelancing, but we'll see. Lesson three is community is everything. I've learned that creative careers are not solo careers, especially freelance ones. Every opportunity I've had has come through the people that I know, people I've worked with, people I've met, people who've trusted me, and people who recommended me to someone else. Your creative community keeps you going when you doubt yourself. They give you feedback, they inspire you, they open doors you don't even know existed. And I wouldn't be at this talk today if Steve, who unfortunately isn't here, hadn't opened the door to me and asked if I would do it. And it also, I think having a community around you makes everything more fun. You can collaborate, work on projects together with friends. Obviously, being freelance, it can be quite lonely, or like someone will come to you asking to do a project, and it might not be my area of expertise, but I can recommend it to someone else, and vice versa. You don't need to network in a weird or corporate way. Just connect with people. I think be kind, be curious, and like always support each other, and that goes a long way. Lesson 4 is persistence really does matter more than talent. I've met so many talented people who stopped creating because they doubted themselves, and then I've also met people who weren't the most naturally talented, but they kept going and they've built incredible careers off the back of it. The difference isn't the talent, is like more the persistence and how much work you're willing to put in, because the creative industry can be quite like a cutthroat place. There's a lot of competition, but you kind of just have to keep on showing up for yourself consistently and then improve gradually, and not quit really when things feel slow. But yeah, creative careers aren't really built overnight. They're built like project by project, and who you know. Most of my early work, as you saw, wasn't really perfect, but each project made the next one better, and that's all that really matters. Lesson 5 is it's okay to like change direction. I never planned to work in marketing. I never planned to manage large teams or do animation or creative direct photo shoots or help run the events. But career change as you grow and you discover new things that you enjoy. You outgrow things that you thought you wanted, and I don't think that's failure. I think that's like part of life, and you're not supposed to stay the same forever. Lesson 6 is rest is important, and burnout is very, very real. Especially in creative industries, I think there's always a pressure to constantly produce, constantly trying something new, to always be working, always posting, and always like marketing yourself. But I think burnout kills creativity. Some of my best ideas have come when I wasn't forcing them, when I was resting or doing something completely different or just experimenting. I think taking time off and like resting is part of the process. It's not like being lazy. And you can't really pour from an empty cup, as cringe as that sounds, it's kind of true. And lesson 7 is learn to say no. I know I have just talked about how important it is to say yes to everything, but at the start of your career that is true, but as you start getting more work, you learn that not every opportunity is right for you. Some things don't align with your values or your direction or your energy, and saying no to the wrong thing creates space for the right things, which is something I'm definitely still learning, and I do think it also depends on how much you're being paid for the job. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you say no to a project that doesn't align with you, normally a project that does will come along. So 3 years ago, I didn't know I would be the head of design in marketing for a festival, and 3 years from now, I might be doing something completely different. But I think that's okay, and everything I've done so far started from one email I almost didn't send. I didn't feel ready, but I did it anyway, and that's what I'd encourage you to do. Don't wait until you feel ready, because most of the time, you never will. You just start and you figure it out as you go. Thank you.